We interrupt your regularly scheduled pornography for this important announcement from the Government of Canada. It has come to our attention that the provincial flags in our country have become a source of international ridicule. When compared to designs from American state flags, it is obvious why national pride is more celebrated south of the border. So our government has come up with new provincial flags that are less boring and confusing. For example, the flag of British Columbia is a giant sunshine. But then you go to the West Coast and it rains 500 days a year. So instead of a sunshine, we've replaced that with a rain cloud, raining on a dirty syringe. And then a yoga mom in a Land Rover throwing an empty Starbucks cup at a homeless man next to a tiny roach-infested house listed at $10 million. Isn't that better? Alberta has needed a new flag for a while. Theirs is a view of someone staring at the mountains and wishing they were on the other side of them. Now we have a new flag. It's a cowboy covered in oil yelling obscenities into the Quran.
What are you?
Saskatchewan has 3 bindles of wheat and that weird hallucinogenic flower from Super Mario Brothers. Now we've got you a flag that speaks to the average Saskatchewanian. It's a bottle of slushy trucker piss on the side of a frozen highway. Manitoba has been burdened with a horrible flag with a buffalo looking confused on it for some time. We'll say hello to your new flag. It's 2 guys knife fighting over a pack of cheap smokes. Ontario, we're just changing yours to a giant stack of hydro bills. Quebec is still using the old French fleur-de-lis. I mean, who loses a war and then gets to keep their flag? Je me souviens, you lost. Here's your new flag. It's a cop blowing a biker while he eats a greasy poutine. Newfoundland, your weirdo horizontal rocket flag is out. Say hello to your new pile of fish bones and OxyContins. PEI, you get what you give. Boredom. You were 3 trees. Now you're a potato floating in the middle of the ocean. New Brunswick, instead of this beautiful old ship that no one has ever been on in your province, here's your new flag. It's a dried-up wharf next to an abandoned building filled with fishermen doing meth. Nova Scotia, you've always been known for your proud flag. Well, say hello to your new proud flag. It's a drunk, dadless, SoundCloud-rapping lobster puking up a last call donaire. Yukon, we're replacing your dog urinating on a flower bush with one more appropriate. It's a $600 loaf of bread. Enjoy your $40 jam sandwiches. Nunavut, we've replaced the Inukshuk with what the rest of the country really knows about you. Dickel! Northwest Territories, we've done away with your old flag and given you a new flag more indicative of the social landscape there. It's a starving, desperate polar bear blowing his way to British Columbia. Your government hopes you enjoy your newer, flappier, more honest flags, Canada. Now go be proud of yourself. Hello and welcome to Glorious and Free, and please welcome my guest this evening, Mr. Rodrigo Fernandez-Stoll. How are you, Rod?
I'm guessing you're going to have like intro music.
Nah, no. But I mean, we could put some in there. Wait, bob your head like however fast you want the beat to be. Oh, magic. How are you, dude? Good to see you. Just so the people know, you are...
see you.
How are you? You look hungover as fuck right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty hungover.
What'd you do last night?
I had my Fog and Lasers show. It was a Venom-inspired musical. That I
Venom, the comic book character?
Yes,
like
Venom,
the evil
comic book
Spider-Man
character.
Venom?
Yes, the evil Spider-Man. My favorite comic book character of all time.
Yeah, can we talk about this? Because, like, everywhere you go, you have a Venom costume. You were obsessed with this costume. It smells horrible. You've played in charity basketball games with it. You put it on stage. What is the obsession with Venom? Why Venom?
I've been obsessed with Venom since I was a kid. I have all the comic books. I used to be obsessed with Venom and Carnage. And when I was a kid, I thought they'll never be able to make a movie out of this. Or even Spider-Man. I was like, Spider-Man, they'll never be able to perfect Spider-Man. And they made, 6 bad Spider-Man movies?
Well, yeah, they had enough tries. Like,
yeah, they had enough tries.
Throw enough shit at the wall.
And then they come out with my favorite comic book character ever, Venom, and they make a terrible movie out of him. And I thought, you know what? 6 more tries. Let's see if they perfect it then. But the fact that they made a movie of my favorite character of all time meant so much. And then it turned out to be terrible. I was still happy that they made the movie, But then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take Venom and I'm gonna make him awesome.
You know what? In life, we all need to take risks. And I think that's why we're all here tonight, to learn a little something and enjoy ourselves. Because, you know, when I'm not slinging symbiotes all over the city, I'm thinking, what scares me?
Yeah, you're gonna see Venom a lot more. And to all those haters out there going, Rod, quit it with Venom, you're making me want to do it even more.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
You don't want, to just settle for this shitty Venom. You want to keep trying until they get a good Venom.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's going to take at least 5 more Venom
Five
movies
more Venoms.
to make a really dark, horror-inspired Venom. Because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a rated R thing, Venom versus Carnage.
I got a feeling that you're not going to be satisfied until Venom is you in the movie.
Oh, that too. I'm trying to make sure that I audition.
Well, that's
for
what I'm
it,
saying
least.
is you dress up as Venom. You sort of like act. You've been acting like Venom a lot more recently. It's sort of like, remember in the WWE, The Undertaker, when he started acting like himself too much? It's starting to get like that. You know what I mean? It's starting to get like you're Venom more than you are Rod these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to take over. You could say I'm a bit of a symbiote.
Go ahead.
Symbiote. You know,
Your
the
word of
alien,
the calendar is
the
really fucking
alien
working.
symbiote.
Oh, yeah.
I just did a series called Save Me on CBC. I play a cokehead comedian, which I'm very, very excited to play because I think it's very fun.
They just followed you around. In your
just
everyday life?
followed me
They just
around.
went to a bathroom and you were the first comedian they found?
It made me think of that because I did it with Emily Hampshire, who's on Schitt's Creek, and Peter Mansbridge, who I actually got to do a scene with, and he was the nicest guy ever, and he's actually really funny.
That's amazing. You're starting to like rub elbows with all these amazing people. Even the other week, The Rock.
Responded to me. Yeah.
Why did The Rock respond to you, Rod?
I was sitting in my Sudbury hotel room, very sad as many of us do, and I had I do go through The Rock's Instagram and his Twitter sometimes because I think he's
Sometimes
just
like daily?
all
or-
the time.
Yeah.
He's just the coolest movie star. Him and Tom Cruise. I don't know what it is. I just love looking at anything that they do. The Rock had posted a photo of his like cheat day where he eats like a monster, and it's usually this crazy table full of sushi or just 3 pizzas or whatever. And I thought it would have been funny to replicate a photo that The Rock did. So I put myself in front of 2 empty plates like I had just had 2 pizzas and watching Jumanji. He saw that and he responded to it saying, I had a really cool panda tattoo.
And can you show us your... Yeah. So...
Maybe you can put like a voting thing here saying, do you think this is a cool panda tattoo? Yes. No. Go fuck yourself, Rod.
What made you get a panda tattoo, dude?
I always saw myself
As a panda?
as a panda.
I saw you as a panda.
I think that's what it was. It was like 10 people growing up were like, "You're kind of like a panda," and I went, "I'm a panda."
Yeah.
And then I went and got a tattoo of a panda, and then
And you really
my
started-
whole life just
Became
started-
about pandas since
yeah.
then. It's been amazing to see how many different panda paintings you've accumulated in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I have about 67.
That's a lot of paintings of pandas.
Yes, no, go fuck yourself, Rod.
And now, it's time for everyone in Finland's favorite segment, Endangered Ally, where we call all our endangered species friends around the world and see how the fuck they're doing. This week, we're talking to our friend in China, the giant panda. Giant panda, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Let me just spit out some of this bamboo. One sec.
Okay, so what's happening out there? You guys were on the endangered species list, right? And this is sort of
Yeah.
a more positive interview because usually we're just talking to animals that are minutes away from death. But you guys have bounced back.
Yeah, basically what's going on is we were getting pushed out with a lot of the farming and, deforestation and everything. We went from endangered to vulnerable, which I've been told is a really good thing. I don't know if I want to say that to anybody. If I'm like on a date, I don't want to go, I'm very vulnerable right away to anyone because it's a sign of weakness, and I don't want to do that. I want to kind of look strong. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're not technically endangered anymore, which is good. Which I feel like I got a lot of the humans, a lot of you guys to thank for that, right? Because you guys are you're helping us out, which is good. And if I was there with you, I'd give you a big hug, but that would probably kill you.
It is good to hear that you're no longer on the endangered species list, but vulnerable doesn't sound good either. Like you're saying, you might want to portray this strong, tough panda, that you're out there, you're ripping stuff apart. But really, let's be honest, people see you as a big, fluffy hug machine. Is that true, or can you snap?
Oh, no, I could snap at any minute.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I'm mostly known for people think that I'm all soft and cuddly and one big teddy bear. Good, I never thought about that. But I am a very aggressive animal, so you probably shouldn't be near me at all. We are probably the best-looking animal on the planet. I mean, prove me wrong. Who looks cooler than us?
I don't want to be rude, but you could stand to lose a couple pounds.
Whoa.
I'm just saying, of all the bears, you're the most, shall we say, Rosie O'Donnell-ish.
You just fat-shamed a panda.
Yeah.
You fat-shamed a panda.
Well, and Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, that's cool. Whatever. She doesn't talk to me anymore either.
She really fell off. Anyway, I mean, I'm not trying to shame you. I'm worried about your health. This is a big argument these days. People think that, body positivity is sort of hurting some people's health. Do you feel that maybe it's time to not eat so many tubers?
Well, it's not only that, really. I mean, it's that I can't help it. This is in my DNA. It's like, what are you going to do? Force me to get really, really thin? And that's just going to fuck me up even more, buddy. So, yes, body positivity, I'm all for, okay? Because some of us can't be skinny little bitches like you, all right?
I know.
If I was in that room, I bet you would look like Tony Hawk and Skeletor had a kid. Is that what you look like?
A lot of my friends tell me that.
Yeah, and then that person had sex with the drummer from Blink-182.
Yeah,
and that's what you probably look like, right?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't describe myself as that.
You look like Bryan Adams was in a hospital for a long time for a reason we don't know. Summer of '69. Anyway, I got to get back to it. A lot of people are looking at me right now in this zoo.
I have what you might call the male. What do they call that? The acidic male. The guy's just fucking oozing poison. I got that. I don't care. I watch people walk down the street with their heads in their phones, like something more important than the life right in front of them is going on. And all I hear is my hockey coach in my head going, "Get low, drive through the hit." Wouldn't it be sweet to just start blowing people up on the sidewalk? I'd cross over lanes of traffic just to throw a sweet hip. Oh! Fucking head down! Wake up!
Growing up, there was the whole joke of if you were Latino, you were automatically Mexican, and then it turned into you're the Mexican. And
everybody used to
I
think you were
embraced
Mexican.
it. I felt like, okay, I guess that's what I am.
I guess I'm a Mexican.
Yeah, I guess I'm the kid who's known as the Mexican. And that's the only way I can be really, But looking back on it, I'm like, I should have just been like, fuck off. I'm not Mexican. Or
But you got like that eventually.
Yeah,
eventually you're like, I'm a
eventually.
peruano, and you start spitting at people.
Or not even saying that. It's just like, it became such a thing where when you are that kid, you don't see yourself as a Canadian ever. The whole identity as a Canadian was being a white guy or a white person, and you were. That's why I was always like,
Was it though?
I'm
Is that
a
what you thought it
Latino.
was?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Being a kid from an immigrant family, you're raised in you're raised in like your schools or whatever to be known as, oh, you're not really Canadian. You're a person. What's your background? Like that whole thing of like, what's your background? Oh, okay, so you're not Canadian. Your background's this, and you're like, no. I'm like, no, I was born in North York Hospital.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian
As fuck.
and I just didn't have like the whitest grandparents ever inviting me to their cottage and like us listening to the Bare Naked Ladies every weekend. I actually had someone on Facebook talk. The whole subject of Don Cherry came up, and all I said was that he was a racist old man, and somebody
Just a very astute observation.
called
It
me
doesn't
out.
take much.
He said, yeah,
Watch 2 minutes of
he
that
said
shit and
something
find out
about,
you're right.
He said something about Europeans or Russians, and I was like, that's so racist. Like, and people allowed it because
All the time be like, these fucking Russian hockey players,
Yeah.
they all wear tutus on the ice.
yeah,
and
he
everybody
said
just
something
let
like
it
that,
happen
and I
all
was
the
like,
time.
this man is clearly insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why are we anyway, I just said, like, why are we allowing this? It's clearly that was a comment that he should apologize for or something, but someone had called me out and said, if you don't like Don Cherry, you're not Canadian. And I went, that's the problem. You just said, like, I'm, like, you, what does he have to do with my identity as a Canadian? Like, what does that really mean? And I feel like we should talk about it way more, because a lot of people still grow up with that whole like, oh, you're not a real Canadian unless you're fucking riding a bobsled.
Well, what is the identity, though?
In the middle of February, man.
Right, but what is the identity? I think that's a hard thing to grasp, is because people don't have anything to look up to other than that stupid stereotype, which is a big thing we're trying to fight here at Glorious and Free, which is like everything that we get
should we all
fed.
be wearing snowmobile jackets all the time?
This is the thing, though. Is like we're always painted internationally. Canadians are always painted as dumb, rural white guy. Like,
Yeah.
how the fuck are you, bud? Good to fucking see you, fella. Let's get some fucking maple syrup and fucking get in the canoe, bud. Play some hockey. Yeah. And internationally, that's what we put out there. And I don't mean to shit on these shows, but fucking okay. Like, you just look at it down the line: Bob and Doug McKenzie, Letterkenny,
But at the time, that was I
all
still
this
find
stuff.
that
Canadian
stuff funny.
bacon. Of course, it's funny. I love a guy in a fucking flannel shirt getting drunk and like driving a skidoo into a flaming barrel. Okay, we all love that stuff. But Canada is a lot more than that. And like you're saying, the stuff that you're complaining about, I think, is rooted in the fact that we're fed this bullshit that we're all this happy, pacified, lovely country where nothing ever goes wrong. And there's some dark history and some real struggle in this country, and that sentiment really trivializes all that work and effort that people have put in, like your family, like other people's families, trying to like come up, and then to say you're not Canadian unless you're a fucking angler, huntsman, or whatever the fuck is ridiculous. But the question is, what is the identity? Like, what are we if not that? In 1939, the MS St. Louis fled Nazi rule in Hamburg, Germany, and sailed across the Atlantic with 907 Jewish refugees. First, they went to Cuba because Jews love beaches. But they were denied entry, and the exhausted survivors sought help in several other capable countries that would not let them in. Luckily, their last hope was Canada, a land known for its tolerance, politeness, and maple-flavored matzo balls. They were welcomed with open arms and made livings as snowmobile insurance salesmen in the true north, strong and free. Is what we wish happened. What really happened is Canada sent those refugees packing back to Europe and probable death under the Nazis. Prime Minister William Mackenzie openly discriminated against Jewish refugees, employing the infamous none is too many policy at the height of World War II. The MS St. Louis was forced to return to Europe, where hundreds of the refugees on board eventually died in Nazi concentration camps. Canada did that? Fuck. So next time you tell a refugee to go back where they came from, you just remember where you might be sending them back to and be a little more fucking Canadian. Now, that might be a sad story, but in 2018, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, apologized for the whole darn thing in a really hot suit and made everything 100% totally okay. It's okay now, right? Isn't it better? It's okay now. It's okay. Yeah, you're okay.
My parents are geniuses. They went to study business and political science in communist Russia. Okay? It's like going to fashion school in North Korea, you guys. Or like taking business ethics in Quebec, you know? Absence classes in Scarborough. You know how it is. And obviously, like, being a brown guy, I got, like, a beard, a Muslim name. When I travel, it gets super suspect. Because when I'm going through security, I have to give them a Canadian passport with my face on it that says I'm from Russia. It looks like the world's worst forgery. You know? Like, I got it from some terrorist discount store, you know? Some place called Walmarter.
Tell us where your family's from.
My parents are from Peru. They immigrated here in the early 70s.
For the disco.
Due to a political scare.
Yeah.
As a lot of parents, a lot of our parents came, I think, in the same situations, really.
What was
felt like that, at
What was
least.
going on in Peru that your family took off?
In the early 70s, I'm pretty sure the military had taken over the government. And they were under curfews. I mean, I think you couldn't go out after 8 p.m. Yeah, military walking around with guns on the street. And there was no work.
I remember you talking about and being like so into like Che Guevara and stuff like that. Remember? And like
wow,
Fidel
what a
Castro.
mistake that was.
You used to love Fidel. And I remember you had like that calendar where it had all the different pictures of Castro. And then you went to
Yeah.
Cuba to do a movie.
Oh,
and then you
yeah.
talked to people. To tell us about that. What happened?
I went to Cuba to go film for a couple of weeks. It was a Canadian-Cuban production. It was a film called Havana 57, which it was like one of my first films, and I was so excited. And then they said, we're going to fly you down to Cuba. They're hooking us up with everything. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. I was like, 25, thinking like, oh my God, this is how it starts. Like, I'm so excited. And then I got there, and it's just people on the street, in a situation where like they're either not allowed to leave, showing me their gunshot wounds
From the government?
Yeah, from the government. Being a bunch of the extras actually were a couple of them were doctors. They were surgeons who were working as extras to make extra money, because they said the amount of money that they were making wasn't enough to provide for their family. The hotel that we were staying at was given to one of Castro's ex-bodyguards, like one of his head bodyguards owns it now. And at one story that still stays with me is us being in a room together watching footage from the day, like the dailies, and we're sitting there, and then the owner of the hotel walking into the room, seeing the footage, and it was a clip of someone getting shot in the head. Fun. And the ex-head bodyguard who owned this hotel now looked at that footage and said, I've done that. But in a very, not like in a joking, like, we've all done that, right? Like, he went, oh, I've done that, in the most normal way. And that made me freeze up a bit, because I went, oh, that's right. We're in a totally different place right now where this guy used to kill people. And I like talking about it more and more, because I'm just a victim of it, where I thought it was like this cool thing and like communism. And I'm like, this is the way we should be headed. And it really made me think about just the situations in different countries.
That's sort of interesting when you're talking about how you're a victim of sort of the cult of personality of Fidel Castro and of Che Guevara, right? Which are like
where I was like using it as like it was like a fashion trend, and I thought it was like so cool when I didn't know what it actually meant.
Right.
Like
what they had actually done.
Well, what they had actually done, but it was more just this guy who is praised by so many people, when you're like, there's this man who's sitting on $90 billion and letting a bunch of his people, just
under the idea that they're
suffer.
communists and they're all supposed to be sharing and they're all
Yeah,
equal.
and
Meanwhile,
there's
he's
this,
living. I know, but that's when like communism, like in a theory, works, but it's never actually worked.
Theory,
In theory, of course, but it's like it's never actually been applied properly. It's always been, like a dictator using it as like a ruse to take power or whatever, telling people that it's a communist. That's not. It's a dictatorship. It's a flat out dictatorship. Looking up to these guys when you're younger. Is that something like, as a young Latino dude, when you were growing up, it was sort of, you think that they preyed upon your mentality, your identity?
I think it was more just me not knowing the difference between it's okay not to look at things so black and white,
Right.
where I can take little things from everything and use that. That was my problem, where I was like, when you're a kid and you're like, I listen to punk music and that's it, baby.
Yeah.
I was never like, it's okay to like everything, like I'm allowed to pick and choose. And that was my issue, where later on I was like, why did I just have to go to the extreme with everything?
I was actually in America. I got one of those Amber Alerts. You ever got one of those? Those things are so fucking weird. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like when a kid goes missing and then they text you. The whole thing's bizarre. Like, you get this text, it makes this horrible noise. Like, it goes, which isn't a noise that's on your phone. Like, someone decided, they're like, that's going to be the Amber Alert noise. I'm like, if you're just going to make something up, why not something better than that, Like, why not, like, help me, I've been abducted! Like, I just feel like people would spring in action way faster. And the message is so bizarre, too. You get this text, and they're like, there's an 8-year-old boy missing 1,000 miles away. It sucks. Did you text the police? Why are you texting them? I don't get it. I just replied back with a sad face. I don't really know what to do here.
You want some hot attention on Twitter? Start telling people you should cancel the Oscars. Jesus Christ, they've been on that bitch for fucking 7 years. 7 likes a day, nothing. Talk about the Oscars. Fuck you! By the dozens. You guys into the Oscars? You into award shows? I think they should fucking cancel them all. Why do you need the back padding? Why this? Why do rich people gotta do this? Fuck yourself, You're voted for. You were voted for. Oh, this does make you more than special. You're already special, but you need to be more than fucking special. Get on your knees! Eat the fucking gun. I don't see it, I'm a sports fan and people get up my ass. They're like, well, it's just like the Super Bowl or Stanley Cup. I say, fuck you. Fuck you. Gretzky never got a Stanley Cup for how amazing a goal sounded.
Well, thanks for coming, Roddy. Can you give us your social medias and stuff like that, anywhere that people can find you?
On Instagram, it's at Rod on the Internet. And I have a website, rodontheinternet.com. It's a bunch of shorts that I have filmed. I think there's one with you and me, and with the one I did with Steph Tolev.
Oh yeah, we'll put a link to it.
Yeah.
That's a great one. It's about some retired porn stars that start a sausage store.
Yeah, and then Rodrigo at Rodrigo F Stoll on Twitter. And yeah, follow me, and I think
or if you just want to follow him around, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you just want to he's usually at subway stations and stuff like that.
Driving a remote control Batmobile.
Sick. Thanks a million, Rodrigo. We'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like that, please check out the rest of our catalog and donate to our Patreon, and maybe we'll take the cameras out of your house.